Hi, I'm international publicist Michelle Tennant Nicholson, and I'm also a vice chair of the East Flat Rock Precinct in Hendersonville, North Carolina, Henderson County. And I don't know what I'm doing as a vice chair. So I'm doing a video series to find out how to be the most effective precinct leader that I could possibly be for the Democratic Party in my neck of the woods. And with me today is Kathleen Gould. Kathleen, why don't you introduce yourself just a little bit so people on YouTube can get to know you a little bit.
Okay. I used to teach at the university level in an English department, and after retirement, I came to Henderson County for the climate and got involved in the local Democratic Party. And the next thing I know, here I am as the first vice chair of the county in charge of precinct development, organization and development. And I love what I do. But it's work intensive. And anyway.
Well, that's the thing. That's the whole reason why, because many of us don't have all the time in the world. So how do you make the most efficient use of that time? And that's why you've been so useful. And this is the second in a series of video training on precinct leadership. The first one was really about organizing our precinct and how many people is needed for that. In this second video, I'd really like to get into identifying, how do you identify people in our precinct? And by the way, I just want to say up front that if you're a Republican or independent or you don't care for Democrats, so what? You still may want to organize for your political voice in your own neck of the woods, and this is valuable information for you as well. So don't feel like you're eavesdropping on the Democrats, because you know what? Political voice is political voice. So with that context under our belt, what do I do on how do I find, I'd love to reach out to my neighbors, but I'm terrified that they'll slam the door in my face when I canvass, or they'll hang up the phone when I phone call. So what's the best way to reach out to people like-mindedness in my precinct?
Okay. Well, the first assumption, of course, is that you live in whoever's doing this, that you live in a county that has at least some sort of party presence at the county level. So you have that group to draw on. But once you're identified as a precinct officer, you can go to your local board of elections, and they, I believe, are required to give, if you said, I need a list of registered Democrats for my precinct, they will provide you with an alphabetized list of people, Democrats in your precinct. Now, the problem with the list from the Board of Elections is that the Board of Elections is under certain constraints about about their ability to keep the information accurate, because they cannot remove someone from the list who dies, for example, unless they have some kind of proof that that person really is gone. They won't remove people from a list who've moved out of the county without some kind of corroborating information. Now, they have ways of seeking that, but often the list from the Board of Elections is not entirely correct. When people, the most unreliable data we have is always phone numbers, because people might give their phone number to the Board of Elections when they first register to vote, but if they change phone numbers, drop their landline, get a cell phone, and let's face it, most of us are not going to call up the Board of Elections and say, hey, this is my new number.
Well, let me just interject right there, because I actually got that list this year. And because I became an officer in 2017, and then in 2018, I got enough nerve to actually start calling. And I probably should have done it last year, but I just felt like I didn't have, I don't know, I just didn't feel like I could handle being hung up on, I guess is the thing, right? So I was like, just one afternoon, I just started calling. I made about 100 phone calls, and it was really a delightful experience. I only got maybe 2 cantankerous people who were like, I'm not even a Democrat, why are you calling me? For the majority of people that I reached out to, they're like, oh my gosh. And I just identified myself as their neighbor and their precinct leader of the Democratic Party, and would they like information, be participating with us in any way, and so forth. And just really with the notion of, inviting participation, and then also listening to what their concerns are so that I could do my job best, and then also letting them know that I was a volunteer. And that always goes a long way. And, you know, some of the people worked at home and they really felt alone, and that they didn't have any type of like-minded people near them. So that went really well. So what I hear you saying in this video, as far as like you can do it precinct leaders, is you can actually get the information either from your Democratic Party, or you can go down to the Board of Elections, identify yourself as a precinct leader, and find contact information that way. We've got about 30 seconds left. Is there anything else you'd like to add about analyzing your precinct or identifying these voters?
Okay, well, one of the things, we'll probably talk about it on the next one, but there is a program that's owned by Democrats, it's owned by the company, but the National Democratic Party, the state party, the local party, all pay money to get access to this program called Vote Builder. And it has all kinds of data about registered voters, and you can find about all kinds of things. And so in some ways, it's more reliable source than the Board of Elections because it has other information, and you can create different kinds of lists based on your analysis of your needs and what voters' tendencies are. So that will be for next time.
Yes, and I also want to say, in my instance, my chair, the precinct, I'm really supporting him, and he already actually had a small list of active Democrats that he stayed in contact with over the years. And so that's one way to really network with your local county Democratic Party or whatever party that you're with, and make sure that you get that information of people who have already come forward in past years to say, I'm very interested. I also found another way that's really interesting to network is just in local town halls, town meetings, different type of churches, or different type of cooperatives and so forth. And then you'll actually find people of like-minded, and then you can get into a political conversation and be like, I even did it at the gym, you know, and I'm actually participating in a very conservative gym. But even so, when people found out that I was a leader in my precinct for the Democratic Party, they then shared with me that they wanted to personally get involved, and how did they do that? And then I could actually get them signed up as a volunteer or direct them to really help have their political voice be heard too. Thanks so much. And the next video that we're going to be talking about, if you're interested, is really like, what's your community presence? You know, should you have social media? Should you fundraise? Like, really, what type of action should you be taking in your community? So stick around, and the links will be in the description.